Hey everybody, welcome back to the LuckyDog podcast. This is your host, Elias Rouse. Today we're discussing The Mandalorian season wrap-up. For starters, I'm just recording this between episodes 1 through 6, and then I'm going to attach the 7 and 8 and final impressions to this podcast. So as of this first half of the recording, I have not seen the last two episodes, 7 and 8, but we are going to talk about The Mandalorian 1 through 6 first, and just initial impressions, should you watch it, what the hell is The Mandalorian, that type of thing. Okay, so this podcast is sponsored by EliasRoushMedia.com. Photo, video, digital media, EliasRoushMedia.com. After the stories of Jango and Boba Fett, another warrior emerges in the Star Wars universe. The Mandalorian is set after the fall of the Empire and before the emergence of the First Order. We have the travels of a lone gunfighter in the outer reaches of the galaxy far from the authority of the New Republic. Why wouldn't you say far, far away? It's right there. It's written in the fucking title. Damn it. So yeah, the Mandalorian. It's basically following the lone bounty hunter, played by Pedro Pascal as the Mandalorian, and it has a pretty stellar cast from when it comes down to it. But this cast is not exactly always seen in there. Now, anyone that doesn't know Pedro Pascal, if you know Game of Thrones, he was the Viper, or he was in Narcos, or if you've seen him in other things, you might recognize him in Kingsman most recently. He was also in The Equalizer 2 and The Great Wall, among other things. But yeah, I like him the most for being in Game of Thrones and Narcos specifically. Pedro Pascal is wearing a mask. I'm just going to say this. For the first 6 episodes, at least. I don't know if he takes off his mask at all in the 7th or 8th episodes. From what I can hear, he is not, at least in the 7th. So, one major problem with this series, some people are going to find, is connecting with someone under a mask. And I completely sympathize with you. I can see how that would bother you. It bothered me watching Force Awakens, having Kylo Ren under a mask 90% of the time. And it takes away from a lot of the relatability you would have with the main character. So there's, like in the original Star Wars, we had characters such as Darth Vader were completely covered. And I talked about this a little bit in the Rise of Skywalker review, but how important that the direction of that character was. First of all, the mask design allowed for you to see more of a face in it, and as of right now with the Mandalorian, it's very postmodern in a way. There's no eye holes or anything like that. Nothing moves on the mask. It's all body movement and blocking and stuff like that for the character. Personally, it doesn't bother me that he's under the helmet for the first 6 episodes. I think that having Pedro Pascal's kind of as this man with no name, kind of like this Clint Eastwood kind of space cowboy in a way. Back in the day we had the Clint Eastwood westerns, so now we have the postmodern space westerns, I guess. And I like the idea. The execution with this specific series so far has been that there's been a lot of story building at the beginning. Tells the bounty hunter, you got to go complete this mission, and when that mission's completed, you can get money. You can get paid. But normally with these things, that mission is not completed, or something changes along the way, and that's what happens with The Mandalorian. And so, without going into too many spoilers at first, they have a great setup at the first episode, and then the subsequent episodes after that seem to only touch on the A storyline. We're just going to call it the main storyline, the A storyline, very lightly. And I don't know if that's the type of television show, I'm into these days. Generally, when I watch television, I want to see a show that is continually giving me more story, more character development, more, unraveling the plot. And The Mandalorian almost is shot episodically, which means you could almost skip a previous episode and just jump in the next one, which I personally don't believe that's how I don't like watching television that way. But the way that this is shot, in the world that they're creating, the cinematography, the look, the sound, the feel, very much is expanding the world of Star Wars, which is something that they desperately needed. Star Wars is such a massive uh, media medium. Sorry, sorry. Star Wars is not a medium. The franchise is so large that it needs these television shows and these things for people to consume so that it expands the world for us and not just the Skywalker Saga 9 movie series. I mean, we just covered the Skywalker series on the review, and mixed, not gonna lie, mixed opinions on it. Go check out the review for more of that. But overall, the Mandalorian is almost a Trojan horse for one of the other characters that are introduced in this. I don't want to talk about it yet, but yeah, let's discuss episode by episode real quick. I'm not gonna go into deep detail about it. More or less, just impressions on it. First episode is very much introducing the Mandalorian. You kind of find out a little bit more about his culture. The first 3 episodes very much feel that of a whole. He picks up the child, which is referred to as, from the world, as just called him Baby Yoda, and everyone has been memifying, I guess, Baby Yoda, just doing this, that, and the other. And that is one of the cutest, most surreal looking puppets I've ever seen. And everybody wants a Baby Yoda for Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa, whatever the hell you celebrate. So I was just like, damn, it was like seeing them stick the landing and inserting this character in there really worked. And in the way they used it in the second episode, the Baby Yoda character, you feel like, okay, this is where it's gonna go. And I didn't think that every other episode was gonna be kind of side mission the show, and it's starting to feel like that from go fetch this egg to go give it to the Jabbas or whatever the hell those things were. I forgot in episode 2 what he's fighting. I like the execution. I love the fucking music. I think the theme in this and the atmosphere fucking rocks and rules. And most of the episodes are, I think, composed by the guy that did the Black Panther theme, but I think they look and sound amazing in my opinion. And they're still using practical effects and it looks like maybe miniature models as well on some of the major stuff, major battles and some sort of stuff like that, like they used to back in the day. But anyways, episode 2 was one of my favorites, just from the cinematography standpoint. The child, and you learn a little bit more about Baby Yoda. I had no idea that there was no name for the Yoda species. I guess that I just assumed that we already knew. Episode 3, The Sin, is kind of like a retread of episode 1 again, and it shows a little bit of the Mandalorian and why he hates droids. His people were taken out, and he's been picked up by the Mandalorians, and there's kind of this big sect of them, and they kind of hide underground. And at the very end, there's this really big battle, and with Carl Weathers, and it was excellently done. I think episode 3 is probably one of the best executed of the past few episodes of The Mandalorian. It did feel a little bit video gamey again with the way that it was shot. Trade this in to get an upgrade on your armor, that kind of thing. Chapter 4, Sanctuary, that was the one that was directed by Bryce Dallas Howard, and this was the one that became the most noticeable of an episode that felt like it was too short. It was 41 minutes, and it's basically the classic western of the cowboy walks into the city or village or something that's being attacked by these others, and he needs to train them to get them up and big, and to fight back against them. And we've seen this done many times in movies, and this was basically that, with all the slow, monotonous parts removed, because it had all of the high points of that type of movie, but I don't know, it became kind of predictable in a way. And was that it's not an at-dat with the two legs. I completely forgot what they're called. I know the Star Wars guys are gonna get on me for this, but it had the red eyes in the chapter 4 when it was attacking the villagers. I did think that was kind of cool, the way they lit that up at night. The gunslinger, honestly, I could barely remember what the hell happened during the gunslinger. It was such a boring ass episode. The Mandalorian helps a rookie bounty hunter who is in over his head, which, if I remember correctly, Mandalorian keeps leaving Baby Yoda, who might be Force sensitive, who we see trying to use the Force several times throughout the series. Actually, we do know he's Force sensitive because he lifted the rhino at the second episode. But the gunslinger, helps out Bobby Cannavale's son, who's the actor in that, and they end up they link up together to go take out Fennec Shand, who's supposed to be a badass in this, but I don't know, something, she gets shot immediately, and what is it? Is Jake Cannavale as Toro Calakian? I don't know what the fuck this guy's name is. He was just okay in that part. I thought they didn't really. The direction was not that great in my opinion. I don't know, just once again predictable, and that plot line's not picked up again. So I don't know. It feels like they just go week by week. Who are we fighting this week? Who are we fighting this week? And it feels like, was it chapter 3 leaves so many questions open regarding just the Mandalorian and the people that he's around, and the bounty hunters that are trying to get him for the first few episodes. Like, I feel like this season would work so much more smoother if they would have just stuck to like some sort of Mandalorians trying to escape with Baby Yoda kind of thing. And there's only like sprinkles of the main storyline throughout the majority of the season. Like, we only have one or two bounty hunters trying to attack them in the first couple episodes, and then there's this massive battle of them all. And the way that massive battle was like executed, it's like everyone's getting this John Wick style like beeper code of who you gotta get, and that was so cool in the way it was executed. And I was like, shit, this is legit. And we'd never got anything like that in regular Star Wars, from what I can recollect. But yeah, so I still am a little bit just hesitant to being full on, this is the bee's knees, because honestly, it's not the bee's knees. It's like they have some really great episodes, some really great directed episodes. The main character can be a little bit hard to relate to because of his casualness to say hardly anything. And he doesn't have this presence like Darth Vader had. The I don't want him to have a Darth Vader presence, but when you think of the character of Darth Vader, the way he walks, the way he's embodied, he's this tall, mounting, figure with this breathing apparatus and this voice. I mean, there's just so many things about the Vader character that I keep going back to saying how well of an executed character that was. And it's because of all of those things. It's not just because how he looked. It's not just because how he sounded. It's not just because of the way it was shot. It was all of those things. And so those are all the things you really need to, take notes on when creating a character with no face, or facial features, really, honestly. Because the Mandalorian, I wouldn't say has many. So let's talk about Chapter 6 real quick. The Mandalorian joins a crew of missionaries on a dangerous mission. This was one of my favorite episodes. Specifically, we have Bill Burr's Boston's ass as Mayfield, Natalia Tena as Zine. We know her from being in Harry Potter and I believe Game of Thrones as Osha. Clancy Brown as Berg. You know him as Mr. Krabs. He looks like Hellboy in this. And Richard Ayoade as Zero. I believe that's the droid in this. We know him from Suburbicon and some other bullshit. Television, the ice cream. Sorry, the Lego movie. He was the ice cream cone. I don't know. He's a big voice actor. And yeah, so I think Chapter 6 was one of the best executed episodes, mostly because it had the scope of a 40-minute episode, and it was turned into a heist, and then it turned into like an action adventure escape film, and it's executed at a very high level, has some amazing actors, and the story was compelling as hell and satisfying as well. There's a couple twists that make it look like all of these characters look like they have been killed or shot in some sort of manner, but then there's this twist at the very end that you realize that he's just set them in a jail cell and he leaves them. I was like, damn, okay. And and then the Mandalorian drops some shit off. He drops one of the guys that they were getting at this station or something like that, and he, I don't know, leaves a tracker that has the Republic go and destroy that entire like station or something like that. So it's like, what the fuck? Like, that was intense. And apparently those people at the end, those were directors at the end of Chapter 6 that went and destroyed that base. I think it was like Deborah Chow and maybe Rick Fumuyama. No, it wasn't Rick Fumuyama. I think it was some writers and other directors that were in the cockpits. I don't remember who it all was, but pretty cool cameos. So, yeah, let's jump into Chapter 7 and 8. So I admit that I lost the Mandalorian audio file that I originally recorded for, I think, episodes 1 through 6. And so it took me about 10 months to find it. And then season 2 just dropped today. So I was like, oh my gosh, I got to release it for the podcast and everything. So let's talk about Chapter 7 and 8 before we check out season 2, which will be in a separate podcast. Chapter 7, The Reckoning. Directed by Deborah Chow, written by Jon Favreau. The Mandalorian receives a message from Karga, whose town on Nevarro has been overrun by the client's troops. Karga proposes that the Mandalorian uses the child as bait in order to kill the client and free the town. In return, Karga would ensure that the guild would stop hunting the Mandalorian and the child. Sensing a trap, the Mandalorian recruits Dunn and Kuil. Sorry, I forgot how they pronounce this guy's name. Kuil brings a rebuilt programmed IG-11 to protect the child. This was the character originally played by Taika Waititi. I think this was at the beginning of the season. I'm sorry, my memory's a little foggy from not having watched this in 10 months. Um, they have met Karga and his associates, but they are attacked by Minox. Karga is injured, and the child uses the Force to heal him. In return, Karga kills his associates and confesses his original plan to shoot the Mandalorian and take the child to the client. Instead, Karga pretends that Dune has captured the Mandalorian, while Kuil returns the child to the ship. During the meeting, Moff Gideon's troops open fire on the building and open fire on the building and kill the client, trapping the Mandalorian, Karga, and Dune inside. Gideon arrives demanding the child. Outside, the two scout troops, intercept Kuil, killing him and taking the child. So, from what I can recall, like I said, this has been 10 months since I've actually seen this episode. This was when they kicked it up a notch, and they decided to continue on with the story from being kind of an episodic saga to like a serialized television show, that we want to watch each episode that build on one another. What I remember having a problem with in the first few episodes were they would have this main storyline, and then they would, randomly just have this, 2 or 3 plot lines in the middle of the, second or third episodes that would have nothing to do with returning the child or the pacing or the danger of it. It just felt like very much, I don't know, just, it's kind of hard to explain, but it just felt like filler episodes in a way. I don't know if anyone else felt that way, but they look generally amazing, and they're fun to watch in the moment. But because they probably only wrote, I don't know, like, what is this, an 8-episode series? It feels like 4 episodes have been dedicated to just filler, if I can remember correctly. I admit I might need to go back and rewatch a couple of them. And those filler episodes, it's not like I disliked them. It's not like they didn't add to the plot or add any interesting characters or anything like that, or help flesh out our characters or anything. I just really remember, it having a strong opening, strong second episode, I believe, and then it kind of just took a back seat to what we were really having a real story about. Was the pacing really on par, kind of thing. So yeah, let me continue on with this. For anyone that doesn't remember, which would be me, Kuil was kind of like the pig-looking guy. I think he was in the first episode, and everybody really liked him because he really felt like he was helping the Mandalorian, and he was a great part of the team. But he was kind of like, all right, this guy's kind of like, all right, he's probably gonna go. Gideon, that's damn, why can I not remember his name? Giancarlo Esposito. Oh yeah, not. Should I do the Giancarlo Esposito? No. Give me 2 seconds. I should have had a little coffee before doing this. I would have been a lot more awake for this. I woke up. I was like, "I'm Mandalorian! Oh God, I got to do a podcast. Find it, record it. Oh God!" And now I can't remember it. I don't know what that says about the show, though. Obviously it could be me that I did not go back and rewatch it. I just haven't had time. A lot of personal stuff going on, and other podcasting stuff. I've been trying to get the October spookiness out too. So forgive me for not being 100% on par. And again, my review is subject to change. This is obviously what I'm just getting off of my chest right in the moment. Let me see what else we got about this episode. Season 1, episode 7, The Reckoning. Yeah, like, I really felt like the direction Deborah Chow brought was was a solid pacing mixed with like exposition that didn't feel like exposition too much. We were getting interesting stuff. Um, so let me see. All right, let's just hop into 8 because I don't want to be rambling on for y'all. Um, Chapter 8, Redemption. All right, so Chapter 8, Redemption, directed by Taika Waititi and Jon Favreau. Quick note, Deborah Chow, I believe, is still scheduled to be the director of the new Obi-Wan series. I don't remember if I mentioned that yet, but here we go.
IG-11 rescues the child from the scout troopers. This was one of my favorite scenes, to be honest. It was well written, and
the way that it opens with the troopers, oh my gosh, like hilarious. Gideon warns Karga, Dune, and the Mandalorian that they will die if they do not hand over the child. IG-11 arrives and breaks the standoff. So, what are we at? IG-11 arrives and breaks the standoff, but Gideon injures the Mandalorian. IG-11 is kind of like Deus Ex, Machina, and a little bit. It's hard to argue that this guy can't do, or this robot can't do anything, and basically saves the day. If we would have had him throughout the entire series, my goodness, half the town stuff and people could have been saved in half the time. And I thought a lot of people had guessed that he was going to come back, just not the last episode. Okay. The Mandalorian sends the others through a sewer gate with the child to help find the Mandalorian enclave. While IG-11 removes his helmet to tend his head injury, this is when we first get to see Pedro Pascal without his helmet on. And for what I'm hearing, he wasn't on set for a chunk of the filming, but I honestly can't tell you how much, little or not. But if you think about it, like I'm pretty sure I said, it's awesome having this big name actor supposedly behind the helmet. At least you get his voice, but you really don't know if it's actually him or not until they remove the helmet, and at least that's him for that scene. Joining the others, the Mandalorian finds the other Mandalorians dead or escaped. Except for the armorer. She tasks him to care for the child, discovers its origins, and return it to its kind. AKA probably what's going to happen in Season 2. The armorer, it's hard to say, fashions the Mandalorian his own signet and gives him a jetpack, which I think we've seen with like Boba Fett have a jetpack and whatnot. And the jetpacks are kind of cool in concept, but it's obviously just a little bit not cheesy, but if they don't do the CGI right, then it can be a little cheesy. I think they did it right in this, though. The group is ferried down an underground lava river, but are ambushed by stormtroopers. IG-11 self-destructs to kill them. And this whole scene was kind of emotional for how little time we had with IG-11. If we had a little bit more time with him, it'd be like, my goodness, this was a pretty emotional episode. But he's such a awesome force when he's, grabbing Baby Yoda, saving him, putting him in, helping him from getting punched by these fucking assholes at the beginning. I was just like, I can't believe they did that. It was some fucked up shit. So when we see IG-11 come in there and whoop some serious ass, that's what we like to see. And so at the very end, seeing IG-11 saying, he's going to self-destruct, it's like, this really sucks, but it's hard to say that we can't get another IG-11 character or something voiced by Taika Waititi again. Gideon attacks in a TIE fighter, and the Mandalorian uses the jetpack to bring the craft down. The Moff secretly survives and cuts himself out of the starship with a dark saber. The Mandalorian leaves Navarro with the child, while Karga and Dune stay behind. And so this is kind of leaving us for season 2. Hopefully, we're going to see maybe a little bit more origin story regarding um, Baby Yoda, and he's probably not going to be called Baby Yoda after this. In my opinion, we're just calling him Baby Yoda. I mean, Yoda is the guy's name, right? He's not a Yoda. A Yoda is not a species, is it? So we don't exactly know what the species of these Baby Yodas are. So in theory, we're not going to be calling. I mean, they've always been calling him the child. They've never officially been calling, like, Disney's never officially called him the Baby Yoda. That's just kind of what the fans have taken on, and so it's going to be very interesting to see the reception. And the I always thought the puppetry on this and mixed with the CGI worked phenomenally well on this television show, which shows that it's going to be great for um, hopefully it's going to be great for years to come. That the CGI won't age, bad to an extent, at least for the Baby Yoda scenes. And he may not even be called Baby Yoda after this season. So yeah, I have not seen season 2 yet. I had mixed feelings a little bit on how they ended the Moff. I was like, all right, he's clearly gonna live. It was a little bit too easy for them to I know they had to like escape from Precinct 13 kind of style, but having like the fleet return and everything, it just was a little bit obvious in a way. But yeah, so what else do we have? I think that's just about it. Carl Weathers was awesome to have as what's it called, as Karga. Honestly, the lineup, I have heard a little bit of the stuff that what's her name, Dune has said, Gina Carino has said. So I'm gonna put that to the side. Not gonna say anything about that, but I I am very impressed by the amount of stars they have in this, and having Pedro Pascal's voice, having the what's it called, practical effects, having awesome direction, and then having Jon Favreau's voice. Jon Favreau has really captured my attention more recently, just as uh, he's kind of like a Swiss Army knife. He kind of does a little bit of everything. He was like way back in the Replacements. He was just like a side star that kind of played like a dumb football guy, and then he turns into a writer, and then he turns into a little bit of a director, and then we find him eventually in Iron Man, creating this Tony Stark character, and he really took off the. I think he was one of the biggest sparks for Marvel, to be honest. And so they've taken his voice, and we've seen him on stuff, other Disney properties, such as, like, I think it's like Disney's Jungle Book. Did he do the Jungle Book? And then he did what did he do else? I mean, he's done tons of Disney stuff, Disney related properties, and now he's been brought over to Mandalorian, and he's helped fleshing out multiple properties, is what I'm saying. This guy's a very valuable asset to Disney. So let's see what they do for season 2. I don't think I have too much more to say. The cinematography, like I said, is pretty damn good for a streaming television show. It definitely puts it's one of the big television shows that puts Disney on the map, and so how could you not tune in if you have Disney Plus? This is the show to tune in to, mostly because Star Wars is such a major branch of brand of Disney now, and so they're just going to keep on hitting that well until they've absolutely exhausted it. But there's nothing wrong with that, as long as they're coming up with original storytelling, in my opinion, and bringing these different and interesting voices, unique, interesting voices, storytelling devices on. So yeah, thank you for listening, watching LuckyDog Podcast. I'm going to try to be a little bit more concise next time, because I kind of was like, I was fighting to get, I was fighting to find my audio files. The Mandalorian popped out of nowhere, and I'm normally a little bit more detailed in my notes when I have them written down, but I just was like, what is going on? Season 2 is today. Oh my God. I was freaking out. So, hopefully this is a little bit of a roundup. Sorry if it was a little bit jumbled up. I'll definitely do a little bit better trying to get a little bit more concise on that. Like I said, it's a overall really fun television show. It's something nice to get like lost in for a couple of I think it's week to week. So if it's another 8 episodes on season 2, then it'll be another 8 weeks. But yeah, so thank you for listening, watching LuckyDog Podcast. If you'd like to support, we have a new Patreon page. 3 tiers. First tier, you can get retro reviews, past movies that are older than 5 years. You're going to have all the retro reviews ready for you. Tier 2, you're going to get early podcast. You're going to have early access to the mastered podcasts that are on SoundCloud. And you're going to get full access to the retro reviews as well. And then tier 3, we're going to have the entire library of the LuckyDog Podcast reviews ready. That's the retro reviews. That's the animated show reviews. Reviews on animated shows, and it's going to have the entire library of the LuckyDog Podcast. So you'll be able to check, what is this, like 2-3 years of podcasts, over 400 podcasts. So be sure to check the Patreon out. It helps us keep the lights on and keep us rolling on a river, or whatever that saying is. I kind of fucked that up, but yeah, you already know. At LuckyDog Podcast. Listen live at LuckyDog Podcast on Twitch. Get it early on YouTube and Patreon now. And get it mastered on SoundCloud. Thank you for listening, watching LuckyDog Podcast. And take it easy.